All right, man. Besides the Judgment Day segment and the Lyra and the Becky segment, I thought it was pretty good, but CJAX, he's not going to like this. But if we could get past everything else, we can get through this. So let's listen to what he has to say.
Oh, my goodness, man. Raw nearly puts me to bed again. This show is so boring. I mean, goodness gracious, man. Every single week, it's the same thing. Boring segments, boring matches, monotonous segments that lead to absolutely nothing. Nothing is explained. The stories are bad. The matches are boring. They're stale. They're stale, man. We have JD McNugget.
Hey, for that's so disrespectful, bro.
Versus Penta. Why am I watching this match and what does this lead to? Literally nothing. This is stupid. We have the situation. Paul Heyman does a quote-unquote explanation of why he turned on Roman Reigns. We don't really get a full-on explanation for why he chose to side with Seth Rollins, why he chose to get involved in all of this anyways if he knew it was going to be a sabotage, and CM Punk sabotaged me, he ruined me, I respect you here, I love you here.
What is this? This nigga when I say probably with a bitch or two if I'm delivering a square. How we get into a struggle, got my knife.
I have a favor for you, Jey Uso. Like, we don't get explanations for why he chose to side with Rollins. And why not side with Jey, who actually has the world title? Why not side with Cena, who has the WWE belt? No, let's just go ahead and side with Seth Rollins. The same dude who you were feuding with, who was talking trash on you last year in the build to Mania 40. And it just doesn't make any sense. It's so stupid. We're going to talk about it in a second. But this show is getting nearly unwatchable at this point. Like, it really is. I will say, I like the fact that they did have a World Heavyweight Championship match on Raw with Rollins and Jey. For the first time, the world title has been defended on Raw in 7 months. Michael Cole said it himself. Why has it been 7 months? Remember, Cody Rhodes was a quote-unquote fighting champion. Gunter was a quote-unquote fighting champion. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley were quote-unquote fighting champions. You understand? Everybody's a fighting champion, but nobody's actually wrestling. Rhea Ripley had maybe 2 defenses and I don't even know, how many days? 50, 60 days as champion? In her first reign, that was nearly a year, she had maybe 7 defenses. Really? Cody Rhodes, 400 days dang near, 10 defenses? Come on, man. These people aren't wrestling. Gunter just had the world title for 280 days, and the first time the world title's been defended on Raw was 7 months ago. It's over. Now, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into what is one of the most boring episodes of Raw I've ever watched in my entire life. Now, first off, we start off yeeting for 15 minutes straight for an extra long promo that then occurred afterwards, but we have to talk about this yeeting thing. This is getting unbearable. Like, for the actual in real life crowd, I'm sure this is great, but actually watching it at home, it is disastrous. It really is. It is so boring, so monotonous, and it slogs out everything. Everything is just lagging behind. You get so tired. You pull out your phone halfway through Jay's entrance because it just keeps on going. Goodness gracious, man. Then we get an extra long segment between Jey Uso and Paul Heyman. Before Paul Heyman comes out, Jey Uso basically calls out Logan Paul to the ring and says, main event, Jey Uso, the world champ, is now in your city, okay? Now, after he calls out Logan Paul, basically we get Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman then comes out and basically, he says he's here to talk to Jey Uso. And then Paul Heyman officially comes out. Paul Heyman basically starts complaining for 10 minutes straight. I was literally watching and I was like, dude, they're still going. I dozed off from the segment and they're like, dude, they're still talking. What is going on at this point? I was looking down at the Knicks and Celtics game. Crazy comeback by the Knicks. But yeah, anyway, Celtics absolutely choked. But anyways, that's not the point. The fact is, I was looking at the Knicks and Celtics game on my phone in the meantime because Paul Heyman just kept rambling and rambling and rambling. He brought intensity, I'll give him that. And he basically said CM Punk sabotaged me and made me turn against my tribal chief. But the fact is, he never had to turn against Roman Reigns. You could have still been friends with both of them after Mania. Just go to the actual match, walk with Roman down the ramp, or walk with Punk down down the ramp, then turn on Punk and have Roman Reigns win the match, and then boom, you did your favor. You walked with Punk to the Mania main event, and then you still were with the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, and then you could have easily walked out and been good. But no, we have to act like Paul Heyman had no other option. He was forced against his will. I chose to side with Seth Rollins, and he doesn't even explain why he sided with Seth Rollins. He says he turned a stray big dog into the Tribal Chief. He basically saved Roman Reigns, right? He helped Roman Reigns. He made him into what he is. He basically takes credit for all of Roman's success, and that's that. And then obviously, like I mentioned earlier, Rollins has badmouthed Paul Heyman. He's made fun of Paul Heyman. He's feuded with him last year on the Build to Mania 40. He's been at odds with the person Heyman was supporting with Roman Reigns for years at this point, but somehow he decides to side with Seth Rollins, and we're given zero explanation for it. All we get is that he left Roman, which, okay, cool, you can make the case for that, but why did you really leave CM Punk? You know what I mean? It doesn't really work. There's no real reason or explanation for this, as I've already talked about, and then obviously there's no reason for him to side with Rollins, and I'm going to keep reiterating that. I don't care how many times I say it, I'm going to keep saying it, because you cannot keep throwing storylines at us if they don't make sense. It's as simple as that. Then Paul Heyman basically says, Jey Uso, I want you to fight Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, because Seth Rollins needs that belt. You just use it to yeet, you know what I'm saying, and basically get over, in a sense, all that stuff, but Seth Rollins needs that belt. And I'm reminded of the fact that Roman and Paul Heyman last year were both referring to that championship as the B title, the loser bracket championship. He literally said it word for word on SmackDown probably multiple times it was last year on the way to Mania 40. And now Seth needs it because it gives him the power of controlling the future of the industry with a B-level championship. It's just, none of this stuff makes any sense. I can't just look past it. Oh, yeah, man, just have fun. Just shut your brain off, man. Triple H is cooking. Blah, blah, blah. No, he's not. This is boring. It makes no sense. Nothing is explained. Therefore, there's no attachment to it. It's stupid. Why in the world would Paul Heyman last week on Raw talk about how he has a favor for Sami Zayn? He can give Sami Zayn an opportunity, to go to SmackDown and fight for John Cena's WWE Championship after Backlash. But you can't give Seth Rollins an opportunity to fight for the WWE title? You have to go negotiate it for him, but you can just give it to Sami Zayn? It's all BS. Where's the WWE title championship opportunity given to Roman Reigns or to Punk or to Rollins or anybody? Why is it only for Sami Zayn? It is an absolute and utter embarrassment, man. But anyways, Paul Heyman basically proposes this to Jey Uso to fight Rollins for the world title, and Jey Uso basically says, he's going to fight Seth Rollins tonight for the World Heavyweight Championship. It's good to see a fighting champion, and it is actually good to see the fact that they have something like this on a Raw, because it gives you something to watch later on in the show, and the match ended up being pretty decent, so I'll give it that. Now, the first half was trash, the second half was solid, but we'll get about that later, okay? We'll talk about it later. After this segment is over, we basically get a backstage segment with Braun Breaker and Paul Heyman, and they basically kind of tease Braun Breaker looking a little bit jealous at the fact that Rollins is the one to win the world title and they're working for him, but we don't even know why Braun Breaker even chose to side with Paul Heyman and Rollins. That's not even explained either, but let's just go along with it, because no matter if it makes sense or not, we have to somehow call it awesome and say it's amazing even though it makes no sense and it sucks. Anyways, this was a backstage segment, and that's pretty much that. Braun Breaker already beat Jey Uso, by the way, which, again, I don't understand why in the world Braun Breaker would side with Rollins and Heyman when he knows that individually he can just go beat Jey Uso. He did it last year, I think 2 times. But you know what? Hey, let's just act like, again, like I said, let's just shut our brains off and act like nothing makes sense, and it's still awesome anyway. So there you have it. Then we have a meaningless match with Penta versus JD McNuggets. Nobody cares about this, man. This is stupid. JD McNuggets, JD McDonough, JD McDonald's, JD Mickey D's, whatever you want to call it, it's the same stuff. This match is for nothing. The bottom line is that after this match is over, Finn Balor kind of gets involved, they kick him out, and then Penta hits the Mexican driver on JD McDonough, and then after that happens, he wins the match, and then this sets up, we're gonna have Dominic Mysterio versus Penta for Backlash this week. Another thrown on match onto the card, because they have no time to build these PLEs, because there's only 2 or 3 weeks in between each PLE and nothing makes sense, so they have to throw stuff together last second. So that's what you get. Nobody cares about this. We can officially move on.
I do, and this is the reason.
Then we get Austin Theory and Grayson Waller going out to the ring, and they're basically going to have obviously a jobber match. Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, one of them, preferably Waller, or both of them, need to be released. this story narrative and this arc that they're doing with Will Theory turn heel, Waller's looking, trying to stab him in the back. This whole thing is stupid. We need to move on from this. It is an embarrassment. Why would you bring out Austin Theory, who has a lot of talent in the ring, actually? And if you develop his mic skills a bit, he can be pretty good on the mic, too. He's got the charisma, you know what I'm saying? He's obviously, in great shape. He has the look in the build and also the ability to be at least a good mid-carder guy. At least. The fact that he is straddled here, basically to lose to any returning star. Tonight, it's Sheamus, which great to see Sheamus back. Banger after banger after banger. It's almost like when Drew McIntyre was like burger after burger after burger after I can't stop thinking about Punk. But the truth is that Austin Theory has been absolutely wasted, okay? He's only there to job out to celebrities like at SummerSlam, he got beat up by Jelly Roll, or if they bring literally any celebrity, he's going to get beat up by him, or he just loses to any returning wrestler. That's pretty much it. That's all it is, man. He lost in 5 seconds earlier this year to Jey Uso on Raw. It's done. It really is. And so just to see this happening is not even entertaining, because he's not even selling moves the same way he normally does. Clearly you can tell he doesn't really look like he's that even interested in what's happening anymore. It's so monotonous, and I do feel bad for the guy, man. And then Grayson Waller has done nothing in his main roster career so far, but I mean, again, like I've been saying this whole video, we just have to shut our brains off and act like everything is okay and everything is amazing, because that's what Triple H wants you to do. You either watch it as a fan or you F off. That's what he literally said himself. F off. Don't watch as a critic, watch as a fan. Well, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to watch as a critic and call it the garbage that's being fed to us every week. Now we get on to the next thing. By the way, Sheamus won the match, obviously. I don't think I need to say that.
It's a shame that Sheamus had to come back like this. You know what I mean? So, I just hope that he challenged Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental title. But, however, it's going to be a minute, because everybody want him to carry his title all the way to SummerSlam. And right now, it's going to be a long wait, because the fact we got to wait till August, I ain't looking forward to that. Things got to start moving in motion now. And Sheamus needs that title, and I don't know when or where they're going to get him to get that title, but he ain't getting no bookings around here. And the fact that he got to face Austin Theory when he could have been facing Dom, it's just ridiculous. Even Kaiser hasn't even got a title shot. It's just stupid, man.
I mean, obviously Austin Theory's there to job out. I mean, it is what it is. Then we get basically the one of my favorite parts of the night, probably the second. Yeah, this is actually by far the second best part of the night.
You motherfucking right?
Becky Lynch comes out there, and she basically cuts a pretty solid promo as per usual. She basically says, no one asked where Bayley was after Mania because no one cares because she's garbage. You know what I'm saying? And Becky Lynch is like, I took out the trash, and you guys bashed me for it, but all I did was take out the garbage. You should be thanking me for taking out the garbage, And then she says that what's her name? Lyra Valkyria is basically the recycling bin here because she's recycling my gimmick and leeching off my name for success. And then Lyra Valkyria comes out, and I appreciate the effort here. Lyra Valkyria comes out and drops some decent one-liners. They are kind of set up and kind of scripted. You could tell Becky was kind of setting her up for some moments, but it is what it is. Lyra Valkyria basically says, I've defended my championship more than you've shown up this year, which was, decent line. Okay. And what's it called? She basically brings up the fact that, everyone here upgraded in the time that you were gone. And Becky Lynch basically says the only reason everyone went up in the ratings, and up in the scale is because I wasn't here. You know what I mean? And Becky Lynch then says she's the greatest of all time. And even Sports Illustrated says it. I'm like, okay, and I don't give a crap what Sports Illustrated says. Anyways, and then Lyra basically starts talking again, and she says, I'm the first ever Intercontinental Champion in the women's division, which, I mean, technically it's kind of China, I guess, but I guess this version, this iteration, I guess it is Lyra Valkyria, whatever. Anyways, and then Lyra basically responds with saying, since she's the first ever Intercontinental Champion, she's made history. Becky better prepare to be, to like being in second place as long as she's here. And I'm like, dude, the Intercontinental title and the women's U.S. belt are literally both meaningless. Now, the Intercontinental title is going to get a big upgrade due to this feud and due to the fact that Becky Lynch is fighting for it, so it adds some prestige to it. But, for example, this belt before this feud, literally 2 weeks ago, meant nothing. There's a reason why it wasn't even defended in a singles match on the card at Mania. Nobody cares about this belt. Now, hopefully this is going to help build the prestige of it, but, we'll just see what happens with it. This belt is also, third to the world title and the WWE Women's Championship, so I don't know how Becky Lynch being in second place, no, Lyra, you're in second place. You know what I mean? But anyways, then we get a very awful brawl segment with a bunch of botches and, very fake-looking brawling stuff like punches and all that other stuff, bad selling, etc. And then Lyra hits Becky Lynch with a Nightwing and stands tall, and that's it. The truth is that, honestly, I respect the effort. I respect the effort they gave for this segment, because at the end of the day, Lyra Valkyria is finally starting to show some character and show some modicum of charisma on the mic and some ability on the mic, and I can respect that because her promos are much better than the crap and the slop we got from Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton over the last couple weeks, and even Nia Jax as well. So I respect that. Becky Lynch is doing a solid job as per usual, so yeah, there you have it.
Just want to let you guys know that I got a reaction video of the segment on YouTube, so make sure you guys tune in. It will be uploaded in the morning at 7 a.m., so make sure you guys tune in because I do want y'all to watch it. And I'm telling you right now, that segment is gold.
Then we get to the next thing, which was Io Sky versus Roxanne Perez. Now, I have to say before we even talking about this match, the amount of times that Io Sky wrestles is honestly unfair. Like, I like watching Io Sky. She's, in my opinion, the best in-ring performer in the entire company. However, I don't understand why she has to wrestle so many matches. Because when you look at it, Cody Rhodes, when he was champion, was not wrestling consistently at all, even though he was told to us that he was a fighting champion. Gunther was not wrestling consistently at all. Before that, Damian Priest was semi-consistently, so I'll give him that. And then in the women's division, Rhea was not wrestling consistently. She has, 6 or 7 Raw matches in 400 days. This is unacceptable. Why in the world is Rhea Ripley, who had a championship for 60% of that span, she somehow wrestled 7 matches in that span, but then Io Sky's probably wrestled 4 times as many matches as that on Raw over the last year. And she literally has she had no belt last year, most of the year. She had nothing this year for the most part until she just won a couple months ago. So it makes absolutely no sense, man. So I don't know why Io Sky wrestles so much, in comparison to the fact that people like Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley wrestled way less when they were a champion. It's very odd. It's very weird. Even Tiffany Stratton, she wrestles semi-consistently, but nowhere near as much as Io Sky has over the last year. So it's not even close. Anyways, though. Then we get to the actual match itself. I'm so done with this. Let's be real with ourselves. Roxanne Perez is one of the most overrated wrestlers in the entire company. We're told constantly every single week about how great Roxanne Perez is, and she's the NXT call-up, and she's the next up in the industry. Her music hit tonight, and she literally got 0 pop. You know what I'm saying? Like Roman Reigns says, no pop. You know what I mean? 0 reaction to Roxanne Perez because no one connects with her character because she's not doing anything. You cannot bring up someone who's supposed to be one of the best next, in the next generation of women's wrestling, and you bring up to the main roster. She wrestles jobber matches. We have no character, no charisma shown from her at all, and she doesn't even do anything that good in these matches. If you are little, like Roxanne Perez is, you have to bring something very, excellent to the table. You have to be an expert in a specific area. Roxanne Perez is not even a top 10 in-ring performer in the women's division alone in the current company of WWE. She's definitely not a top 10 mic worker, even though most of the women's wrestlers are garbage on the mic. She still is probably in that bunch too. I've seen some of her NXT work. Same with Julia. They don't have it. Same thing with Julia. That's another thing. Why in the world are Julia and Roxanne even friends? Weren't they just feuding for the NXT title a couple months ago? It's so forced and so weird. And the fact is that Roxanne Perez was a big fish in a small pond in NXT, and now she's a little fish in a big pond on the main roster. It's as simple as that. There's no reason why Roxanne Perez should ever, if she stays the same skill level like this for the rest of the year, the rest of this year, she should never be winning any gold. Nothing. And I mean absolutely nothing. Maybe the tag team belts, because those don't matter and they have no significance at all. There isn't even a women's tag team division, that's why Kaden Carter and Katana Chance got released, because there's literally no room for them because they don't do anything. It's the same thing with Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai doesn't do anything. She's a mid-card spot filler, which is what looks like is the peak or the ceiling of what Roxanne Perez can be until I'm shown otherwise. No offense, but I'm just saying it like it is. You got to drop the fact bombs at some point. You can't tell me Roxanne Perez is the generation's next amazing women's wrestler, and I see her wrestle and see her come out here and do absolutely nothing that a Dakota Kai who just got released can't do. Do something that, an Ivy Nile can't do. She's done nothing above any of these people. She's just an average mid-carder or undercarder. That's all I see so far, and that's all we've gotten.
Well, you're going to see something next week, so I'm going to tell you that right now. Roxanne will be doing something with Finn and with Dom. So don't be surprised if Roxanne pull up to the Judgment Day cave, because I see something that works. And it's coming. Mm-hmm.
And then after this match, which the match itself was decent, it's cool to see Io wrestling. There were a couple decent moments, but it was pretty botchy, and the ending I thought was bad because it was just a bunch of just roll-up. It was a roll-up sequence, and then ultimately Roxanne lost off of a roll-up to the World Heavyweight Champion, who should just straight up be pinning her straight up. Why are we doing roll-ups? You know, like, it's just such a joke. Then we basically get a brawl. Julia somehow comes out, after Roxanne tries to get Io to shake hands. Julia comes out to no reaction at all because no one knows who these people are. No one knows what their characters are, and they have no gimmick, and they're not connecting with the crowd. Signs of things to come. They both might get released in a year or so, her and Roxanne, sadly, but we'll see what happens with that.
No, Roxanne will be fine. Trust me. This storyline is just getting much, much better.
Anyways, they both go out there, they beat up Io Sky. Rhea Ripley doesn't show up, and that's the end of the segment. They just stand tall. This sets up Rhea Ripley and Io versus Roxanne and Julia next week on Raw. Whatever. Why does this matter? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't care about it. And that's that. Then we move on to Rusev, who proves absolutely nothing. We dang near can skip this. He beats Otis by using the Accolade. It's like a 10-minute match. Rusev should have came out and absolutely destroyed Otis, because beating up the Alpha Academy doesn't prove anything anymore. It's rung hollow. Everyone's doing it. Anybody who fights the Alpha Academy beats the crap out of them. Chad Gable was bullying these dudes. Like, why in the world would I be shocked that Rusev is bullying these dudes and getting in close matches with Otis? It's not enough. And then Rusev runs out of the ring after the match is over, and he makes Otis tap. And then Rusev then runs out of the ring and then runs back in the ring and hits Tozawa in the back of the head, because he can only attack from behind, because I guess he can't face Tozawa up in it, face to face like a real competitor, a real man, you know what I mean? He has to run away and then run back in. It makes Rusev look like a coward. He's supposed to be a villainous, malicious heel who's an absolute monster who literally will beat the crap out of you for zero reason at all. That's what he should be. But for some odd reason, we don't get this like Bronson Reed type of character with him. We just get an average heel. What did Rusev do tonight that we haven't seen already done to the Alpha Academy? Like, this is just a joke at this point. This proved nothing. And Rusev, like I predicted last week, just like, B-lister Black on SmackDown, they will go back to being undercard jobbers within the very near future, because there's nothing to do with them. They're jobbers. When they get fired from WWE and then come back 5 years later, nothing changes. They didn't get any better on the mic. Their entrance didn't get better. Their gimmick didn't get better. They're not better storytellers. It's the same person you had before, but older. So, cool. You're going to be an undercard jobber. Congratulations. Then we get Pat McAfee's promo with Gunter. This is another boring part of the night because nobody cares about this, man. Why are we watching a former world champion fight against a ring announcer? I don't care if Goldberg returns at Backlash to set up some Saudi Arabia match with Gunter. I don't care. This is boring, and it's stupid, and it sucks. Pat McAfee brags about, the best meats in the world are all here in Omaha. This is the best city in the world, the baseball team, the this, the that. I'm like, dude, what? Why are we even talking about this? Talk about the person you're actually fighting. He says Gunter has gone soft, which is absolutely facts. Hence why he's fighting Pat McAfee in the first place. Then Pat McAfee says he loves life and he wants to live the dream that these fans have of being in a ring and coming from nothing and being something, the classic I did it speech. It's really ridiculous, man. Nobody cares about this. You can't even force yourself to care about this stuff. Gunter then gets on the mic and says, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to maul you. I'm going to embarrass you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to make you tap out, make you quit. And I'm going to, basically beat the crap out of you. And that's it. That's it. That's all it is. And then he pushes Pat and walks away. And that's that. Nobody cares about this. Nobody cares, man. I don't want to see Goldberg versus Gunter. I don't want to see Gunter versus Pat McAfee. I don't want to see this. So why should I care about this? It's not entertaining. There's nothing gripping or investing about this stuff, so why does it matter? Then we get to the main event. We get to the main event where it's basically Seth Rollins versus Jey Uso for the world title. It's cool to see this, like I said, because it's the first time the men's world championship has been defended on Raw in 7 months. So it's cool to see that they actually did this tonight. And plus, the match, the first 50% of this match, I'd say, was actually really bad. Like, it was literally just both them laying down, kind of knocked out, showboating in the corners, respectively. Nothing's going on. Bunch of silence in the crowd, bunch of monotony, boringness. And then halfway through is when things kicked into semi-high gear. We got some pretty cool false finishes with Jey kicking out of curb stomps, Rollins kicking out of spears, super kicks, and all that stuff. It became a semi-finisher fest, I guess, to an extent. You had the Falcon Arrow that Rollins hit off the top rope, which was pretty good. And then obviously you had multiple different false finishes finishes, which I thought were pretty well done. They actually had a little bit of drama to them. They made you at least think that Seth may have a chance at winning, which is all I ask from matches like this, that you know are going to be predictable. They're for the world title. At least make me, have some type of suspense. You know what I'm saying? Give me some drama. Give me some entertainment, some intrigue to it. And they did a good job with that. And ultimately, I actually thought Rollins for a second was going to roll over and get that pin at the end after, Sami Zayn got involved and got speared, and then Jey Uso got speared and then curb stomped. But then I knew for a fact that either Roman or Punk was going to come out. And then obviously CM Punk is officially back after a 2-week break. It's not like a big return or anything, but he's back. He hit Braun Breaker with a chair. He beats up Seth with a chair. They both scurry away, and then Punk stands tall with Sami and Jey Uso at the end of the show. So the match basically ended in a no contest, I assume, or a DQ. Seth Rollins technically won, I guess, because of the DQ, but Jey Uso obviously retains the belt at the end of the day. So now this sets up probably Punk and Rollins, and Braun are going to feud some more. Punk will probably work with Sami. Sami will probably get destroyed due to injury or something like that, and they'll write him off, and then that's when Roman will come back in a few weeks, and then it'll be Roman and Punk versus Braun and Sami maybe in like a month, or versus Braun and Seth Rollins, in the next month or two. But other than that, that was basically your episode of Raw. I thought it was incredibly boring. I think the main event was semi-entertaining. I thought the Becky Lynch and Lyra promo was pretty decent. But other than that, everything else was either bad, boring, made no sense, or was absolutely monotonous trash. So, I don't even know what to say about it, quite frankly. It was a pretty nonsensical episode of Raw. Nothing happened. And it's pretty much a stale, dry, garbage piece of content from WWE. But hey, what else is new? You know what I'm saying? What else is new? With that being said, I'd give this episode like a 4 out of 10. It's not the worst episode I've ever seen, but it is one of the most boring episodes of all time, like by far. But, hey, it is what it is. But 4 out of 10 for this episode. Thank you guys for watching this video. And as per usual, have a phenomenal day. Peace out and one love.
So here's the new matches for next Monday. So we got AJ Styles versus Finn Balor, which I don't understand this match. I really don't. Why is Finn is facing AJ? I don't get it. But we also have the War Raiders versus American Made. I don't even know who's going to win this match. We all know, but y'all know better than I do because I really don't care about this match. I really don't. But however, we also got a tag team match. Io Sky and Rhea Ripley going to be teaming up again. Yay. Against Roxanne Paredes and Julia. So I'm rooting for whoever wins, I guess. And, of course, Backlash this Saturday. We'll be seeing an Intercontinental Championship match against Dom and Penta again, which I predicted months ago that it would happen. They already announced it, so whatever. And, of course, we got Lyra versus Becky. So I'm looking forward to that match. Now, that match, I'm looking forward to it. I ain't gonna lie. I'm ready for that one. I'm ready for that one. But every other match is like, whatever. Now, we all know Dom is going to retain his belt. But the question is, will Finn attack him? I hope not. I really hope not. Because if you're talking to Roxanne behind the scenes and you're talking to AJ Styles as well, then the first thing you should do is continue to set up arrangements for everybody before you start to, portray Dom, because if you betray Dom, you're outnumbered, right? Because you still got to talk to JD, you still got to talk to Carlito, and you still got to, talk to Raquel. So, again, some people are saying that, that Liv and Dom are going to be betrayed after WrestleMania, after SummerSlam, but I think all that's going to happen beforehand, because you got to remember, we got Money in the Bank and we got Saturday Night's Main Event and we got Evolution. So if Finn is talking to Roxanne to get a title shot against Liv and Raquel, that's fine. But the question is, why? Why would you want to face Liv and Raquel when you know you're going to lose? All right. You guys are a team now until when? Okay, how are you going to team up with Roxanne when Roxanne literally walked out on Krona J before she got released? I just don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how Roxanne is going to do it, because even if Roxanne to team up with Julia to go after those titles, we know they're not going to win unless Finn is going to cost them the titles. Because, again, Finn, if you're setting this up for Money in the Bank, where Julia and Roxanne face Liv and Raquel for the tag team belts, that's cool. But if that's your goal, then okay. But I don't think Liv Morgan's gonna approve that. Just saying. But if you got a plan for them to lose the belts, that's good. But I mean, is it gonna happen? Because even if Roxanne and Julia win the belts, how are they gonna keep it? That's the question. How are they gonna keep it? Because what if Roxanne walk out on Julia just like she did with Quota Jade? You walked out on Quota Jade, and now look where Quota Jade is at. She's not here no more. You know? Same with Julia. Same with Gigi Dollins. Face Liv and Raquel, and now she's released. You know? So I don't know listen, I'm rooting for Finn. I'm hoping that Finn plans something before he gets kicked out. But I'd rather for him to quit. Because if you got all these people in motion, then you need to quit. You shouldn't stay. Unless you're trying to recruit Roxanne into the group. But if you do that, what we gonna do about Julia? That's the question. Are you trying to get Roxanne to portray Julia so that way she can go on her own? Then how are you supposed to win the tag team belts then? That's what I'm saying. I don't have a problem with Roxanne being a tag team champ, but we would rather for the Bella Twins to take it, but they're not. But we haven't got any updates of them coming, and we haven't got any updates of Alexa Bliss coming. So what do we got? Okay, so I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just glad to see Finn and Roxanne talking. That made my night. So hopefully they'll work together to see if they can take down this Judgment Day 2.0, you know what I'm saying? Because once Finn is gone, pretty much the Judgment Day is no longer the Judgment Day. It's the Living Dom and the groupies at that point. So if Finn can cost Liv and Raquel the tag team titles, that would be good, because then that way Finn can feel much better, because now Liv and Raquel are no longer champions, and that might lead to some type of dilemma in the group. Because now that Finn is not in the group no more, now everybody has to decide, is Liv Morgan the problem or is Dom the problem? So once Finn is out of the group, hopefully he quits. It's up to Liv Morgan. I'm sorry, not up to Liv Morgan. It's up to JD, Carlito, and Raquel if Liv is doing her part or is Dom doing his part, where they both are like looking at this the wrong way, you know what I'm saying? Or their now personalities are starting to change because they realize that Finn is not the problem. It's everybody. It's Liv Morgan because of her ego and her. Well, there's a lot to talk about with this, but you get what I'm trying to say. I think egos will be tested once Finn Balor is out of the group. And once Liv Morgan and Raquel loses the titles, which they should, because the tag team division is dead. And honestly, we don't give a fuck about those titles no more. So take it off, okay? We don't care if you guys are the 4-time tag team champions. We don't give a fuck. Take it off now, okay? So if you want to give it to Roxanne and Julia, that's fine. But be careful, because Roxanne is not trustworthy when it comes to being partners with anybody. You saw what she did to Cora Jade. So yeah, I would be careful I would be careful with Raquel too, because Raquel, listen, be very careful when you're dealing with Roxanne. Because I'm telling you right now, she's not trustworthy. She's not. But I still want her to do a storyline with Dom, but I would like it to be where it's like, okay, I'm just going to be with him for now just to get him to get him to cheat. And then what's gonna happen is once he start to kiss me, I'm gonna slap him. So that way I could show, that way I could show people that I'm not interested in him. I'm just trying to see how Liv Morgan's gonna react. So, hopefully Liv Morgan will leave him after that, but I don't know. I mean, she's such a forgiving person that she forgot about what she was back in the day. Before it was all about gold and getting revenge on Rhea. Now it's all about gold and pleasing these Liv and Dom fans, which that's ridiculous. But hopefully we'll see change behavior. But until then, we just have to be patient. But hopefully Fan will get things in motion. I see he's doing something. Before I thought he wasn't doing anything when I saw that segment with AJ Styles, but I see he's doing something, so that's good. But I still want him to talk to JD. If he can't talk to anybody else, at least talk to JD. So hopefully he'll do that. But until then, we just got to get ready for Saturday. So get in the comment box. Make sure you guys get in the comment box. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share if you're new. And I'll see y'all this Saturday at 7 p.m. on live stream, okay? And yeah, man, I mean, even if Backlash is mid, the main match I want to watch is Becky versus Lyra. So we can just watch that. We can ignore everything else, So let's go ahead and wrap this up, all right? I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.